Good morning, Dr. Webb. I hope you had a good spring break. Today's Reflect and Connect is on alternative strings, the article by Julie Lieberman. I enjoyed reading this selection that you picked for us, and I thought it ties really well into what we've been talking about in class lately, just discussion about programming music, what do we use to teach, and the styles of the music that we pick. How do we teach without just using 100% Western European music or classical music or stuff like that. So at the beginning of the chapter, Lieberman defines alternative as the catchphrase for all the other styles that kind of make up music. So, everything that falls under American folk, jazz, contemporary, and then world music, like we've been kind of talking about, and that's kind of a debate of why is it world music, but stuff like that. And next, she goes on to talk about, how she and some other people at the ASTA conference we're trying to find a way to hop onto this movement about alternative music and relabeling lots of things to fit this label. She talks about tradition and how tradition can often influence, people and societies and can influence music. She talks about how, now there's people who are willing to go against, tradition and make new things. And, within that culture, notation, and publishing and technology, those all go into music. For publishing, if a small village, you could record the music and write about it and name it. This is what Lieberman says. And now that music is known for something, it stands less chance of evolving. And I guess that's just because since it's defined, now it has less chance of evolving. And music evolves differently if it's written down and taught exactly to the same people or if it's learned by ear. And, traditional music, there's a lot of different things that go into it compared to Western music, tuning systems, tonal centers, notes, etc. And, there's a couple other things she talks about. For example, like improving the quality of the experience. I think trying to find a way to break out of the classical mindset sometimes and exploring other genres and maybe taking some more creative liberties could be an avenue to explore while going into other styles. Just finding ways to explore the music without giving it the same rigorous, it has to be perfect mindset that I feel like some people have with classical music is important. Why integrate other styles into the curriculum? Excuse me. through listening and like playing different styles, you as a musician are going to grow so much more. For example, like for me, I feel so much more well-rounded being able to play both as a classical and jazz musician and understand everything. And they go hand in hand. Like my classical training influences my jazz playing and the other way around, and I feel better. So for your students, giving them a sort of glimpse into that where it's you can play any style, you're familiar with it, it'll make you a more well-rounded musician. What constitutes a style? Each culture has its own unique heartbeat. And everyone's different, and that's what Lieberman says is the beauty of music. There are a couple of characteristics that create a general fingerprint. We'll go into that really quick. Notation doesn't always help, but there are 5 basic parameters that kind of influence style. There's pressure, how the bow interacts with the string. Speed, how fast you draw the bow. Duration, how long you hold the note, slides, stuff like that. Method of entry and method of departure, how you start and end notes. And then there's other things you can get into. Meeting national standards. You can fulfill all 10 national standards by including any one of the alternatives and styles discussed in this book into your curriculum. Certain styles will present new vantage points for your students. For instance, orchestra music is harmonized. Fiddling will give them an opportunity to play in unison. So pretty much, using a different style, you will be able to hit all 10 standards and teach in a creative way. A lot of different things you can do to do this. So she gives a couple: singing alone with others, a varied repertoire of music; performing on instruments alone with others with a varied repertoire of music; improvising melodies; composing, arranging music; reading and notating music; listening to music; evaluating music; understanding relationships between music and other arts; understanding music in relation to history and culture; understanding dance. All of this can be captured by teaching other than classical music, essentially. This applies to me as a future teacher because I have to pick what music we're going to do. And, I enjoyed this reading because it kind of reminds me that not everything has to be classical or jazz. There's a lot of stuff outside of that. And, just being able to explore other musical genres, other cultures, picking pieces that maybe people haven't heard before but are still fun, that's important. And I think as a teacher, I have to keep that in mind and pick music that'll both help my students learn, grow, and cover lots of different cultures. Thanks.